I am working on one of the most satisfying farms to have, which is a Froglight farm. The reason this farm is such a nice farm to have is it delivers you one of the most dynamic and useful blocks you can have, Froglights, because they emit light, they look nice, they're a useful building block, and you get tons of them from this farm. I built a Froglight farm previously in another world, but it was in a bastion. So some of the bastions will have, I guess one of the bastions, I think it's the Treasure Bastion, has a spawner, a magma cube spawner. I think it's the only place there's a magma cube spawner. And it's great. It generates the magma cubes, and you can build a little cage around it and put your frogs in there. And that's really great, except for you're like hovering over lava. You have to take over this bastion. Just one of the tougher structures to take over in the game. And, may not be very close to you. So you may have to travel a great distance in the nether to get to your farm. But it produces a lot. It was nice. On the other hand, this farm is something you can build on your nether roof, which is one of the safest places in the game, to be honest. And it also produces a lot. It's very easy to deal with magma cubes. They are harmful if you stand still right next to them for a long time, but otherwise they're fairly easy to evade and to deal with. So make yourself a Froglight farm, and don't do it the hard way, even though that might be more interesting. I mean, if you wanted to do that, go find yourself a bastion, and then another one when it's not a treasure bastion, and then another one. And then when you finally find a treasure bastion, try to take it over. See how fun that is. And then convert it into a farm so that you can travel thousands of blocks to go make yourself a Froglight. I mean, you can see how nice and easy it is to build here up on the roof, as opposed to trying to be in a bastion with pools of lava, magma cubes bouncing on you, piglins and brutes attacking you from every angle. Well, I think people tend to learn things the hard way, and that's what I did. The first Froglight farm I did was the hard way, using a bastion. But it definitely was interesting. This time it's the easy way, and I'm looking forward to having a lot of these Froglights because they're super useful, because you're always trying to light things up, and you get tired of the torch all the time. It's the easiest thing to make, but when you have these in abundance, you might as well just use Froglights all over the place. They look great. They look a lot better than torches. They're different. So that's what we're going to do this time around. So what are some of the challenges with doing this Froglight farm? Well, in either way, any way you do it, you got to collect the frogs. That's really one of the tougher challenges of this. Once you can get your hands on a couple frogs, though, you can make a bunch of them. And then the next challenge is to make the different kinds so that you can have the different colored Froglights. You want to get the green frogs and the orange frogs and the white frogs too. They'll make the different colored Froglights. I guess it's the green ones, the verdant ones, the orange guys make the ochre, and the white frogs make the pearlescent, kind of purplish Froglights. So we want to get all three of those so that we can have some variation, some variety. And in order to do that, you have to breed them or hatch them in, or I guess they have to grow up from tadpoles in different biomes. So there's hot biome, temperate biome, and the cold biomes, frozen biomes. So fortunately, I had access to those, and I made some portals that go back and forth, back up to my nether ceiling. So even though the biomes were kind of far away, pretty close up on the nether roof here, I just had a couple of these portals on the roof. They were all pretty close to this farm, and I could just drag the frogs over using leads. Let's go, guys. So on the overworld side, what looks like is supposed to happen here is they come through the portal, and magma cubes, that is. Magma cubes will come through the portal And I think they're going to get killed and drop some of their magma cream into these hoppers here, which will then flow into this chest up front. The actual small cubes will have to get fed over to the frogs. So we need to enclose the whole thing in glass with a little extended roof on top, and the whole thing can be filled with water. Okay. The very top will have some water in the corner to make it flow towards the front, and that's going to push the tiny magma cubes right over to the frogs. Okay, just like so. We place the water in the corner first, and then you break the dirt blocks underneath, so that's flowing towards the front. We cover it up so that there's just enough room for the tiny magma cubes, but there isn't enough room for the big ones. They stay submerged underwater and drown, and that's what causes them to keep dying off and turning into smaller cubes. This is what it's like from their point of view. Underwater, they come through the portal and they're stuck here underwater. It's hard to get up top if you're a big cube. For me, I can swim and just pop out. I come out there, and that's going to be a tube that will lead the small cubes to the frogs. After that, we're going to place this yellow block here and build these 3 little flows of water around it. We'll get these pistons here. They allow us to block the streams, have these little control levers underneath. Pop that up, it's going to block the flow of water, which is going to prevent the little cubes from coming over to get eaten by the frogs. And here's going to be the collection system. We get the blocks of honey on top. They're going to squish down into these hopper carts. Alright, so we're going to put these pistons in place just temporarily to push them down. Honey blocks get stuck into the hopper carts. Just like that. Now we're going to make little drop chutes where the magma cubes are going to drop down and get eaten by the frogs. And we do 1 chute for each. Oh. And we're going to make these water streams come out for each of the 3 channels, and we just have the pistons underneath that can block any one of them that we want, which allows us to control which colored froglights we want to make. So we can flip on or off any one of them. We can have 2 different ones or all 3 working at the same time. No, wait a minute. That's not how it ends. We had a creeper setback, but I gathered all the frogs. I got the honey blocks and hoppers back in place. Spent a little time in the nether to collect some of the magma cubes, and the farm's working really good. You see the big ones are drowning there in the back, and then they float up to the top. The small ones can make it through the tubes. And you can even control which color froglights you want to get. This is actually a pretty cool feature of this farm. These pistons down here will control which tubes the magma cubes will go down. And so you can send them to the different groups of frogs down there, each being different colored. And so each chest contains a different color froglight. Alright guys, I think that's going to do it for this episode. I appreciate you coming back. And to summarize, I think the moral of the story is froglights.